just, amazing. And for the last few years, all the changes that have happened and trying to walk out my new life in a transparent mode and being engaged and being family oriented again and not hiding a bunch of stuff that I didn't even know I was hiding before and hiding behind certain things. So, for anyone that's ever had any issues with addiction, with difficult childhood growing up, you have a way. You've got a way of protecting yourself or making a way for yourself, and you think that you're protecting other people by not sharing things. But the truth of the matter is that we are shortchanging the people that are in our lives by not letting them in to let them know where we're at, because they weren't there. They weren't there for those experiences, or not all the experiences. And so if they can have a bird's eye of what experiences you've had, that gives them more information to know more about who they are, who they're with. And so, I've been with Tony for 19 years, almost 19 years. Whoa, I'm just like, whoa. And it seems like every day I'm learning something new about him, and I'm also learning something new about what he didn't know possibly about me, and how that, him not knowing those things, has an impact. And by not having exposure to why I am the way that I am, and then trying to get to know how he is. I don't know if that makes any sense. A really dear friend of mine, Dee Roberts, in Florida. Hi, Dee. And I'm going to screw it up, but this is her quote. And she is a lifelong learner. She is a motivational person. She is a lover of positive thinking. And, she's just a wonderful woman. And right now, her battle is taking care of her husband, who is got dementia, who was a doctor, a radiologist, incredibly smart man. And so so her saying is this, before I get any more into that, her saying is, the older you get, the more you become. And there's so much truth in that. There's so much power in that. And so, like, when I talk about Tony and how he's become more and more like maybe his mother, he's become more and more like himself, but his influences, you can see different things where you saw bits and pieces of that when we were first together, and then he grew into all of those things. We all eventually come back around to, who we are, whatever that underlying is. So the older you get, the more like you become, is so profound. And so every day I think about that, and I think about, of course, when I think about it, I think about Dee. Hi. And just how true that is. And if we can just grab that and, hold on to that, that is so, so riveting. So, like, even with Dee right now, walking through this chapter, season in her life with John, trying to love this man who sometimes doesn't know where he's at, who gets very angry sometimes, goes through all of these things, watching this man that she loves, trying to keep those memories alive, but yet John is acting out exactly who he is, and that may not always be nice. And so I'm stressed for Dee, because I want her to remember the good things for him, because she deserves that. She's given her life to him, and she's done all of these great things for him, and she's sacrificed so much of herself at times to be with him and to be part of his life and be as part of his children's lives, and bring them on as her own, and having that resistance as well, because as most people know, stepchildren aren't, once things aren't together anymore, they're really not together anymore. It's not especially if there's strife in the relationship. So anyway, I pray daily for my friend Dee, because I know, as much as I know, what it would feel like going through something like what she's going through, and there's so much empathy there. And I think the hardest thing for me in leaving Florida, okay, the only thing that was hard about leaving Florida was not being able to be with her. And that guy on the motorcycle just pulled literally right out in front of me, and he had 2 lanes. Wow. So anyway, I want the world for this woman, and I want to believe that her struggle, all of her struggles, are not in vain, and something amazing is in store for her. And I want, in 2019, I want to make it my intention to be intentional with the people that matter most to me. And this past year, actually the past few years, with coming out of addiction, making poor choices, trying to get my family back together, all of those struggles, and just dealing with all of the me stuff, because that's pretty much what it boils down to. I want to be intentional with my relationships. I want people that are important to me to know that they are important to me. And for me to do that, I actually have to let them know. I've got to say, this is what you mean to me. This is why you mean that to me. These are the things that I've been challenged with. And I want you to know that the lack of communication with you has not been a result of being busy or not wanting to talk to you or any of that stuff, but rather, I don't know what to say, and so I hide, and I disconnect, and I don't want it to be that way anymore. I want to be mindful. I want to be back to the way that I remember being, which is I used to worry about everybody, and really concerned about this, that, the other thing, and making sure that I was present for birthday parties, and make sure that everyone got a letter from me weekly, and whatever it is. But I literally fell short of that about 2 years ago, and stopped doing it altogether. And for me, I feel so selfish because I am not made that way. I deeply desire to be connected and reach out to people, and and to have those relationships, because you treat people the way that you want to be treated. Interesting thing is that people have been reaching out to me all this time, probably exhaustively, and not gotten any reciprocity from me, and I can't function that way. I feel disconnected, and I'm reaching out. I am making 2019 my year of getting back me, getting back who I feel like I am, and not being just for the sake of somebody else, So with that, I got to turn off the car because I'm going to meet my sister and mom and Christine, and I think this is going to be great. So anyway, love you all. Thanks for tuning in. Send me a message. Let me know what you think. If you need me to extrapolate upon something, let me know, from the addiction to the challenges I've had with my family, my relationship from my children to my husband, to my siblings, to my friends, to the way that I work, the way that I've, you know, whatever, you know, stick it out there for me. I'm so different, I think, than so many other people out there that are doing social media. And so for me, it's, I made a lot of bad decisions, and I need to be held accountable for those. And what did that net me, you know? And so I think over this year it's going to be pretty awesome, just for the fact that I want you to know that there's other people out there that are real, that are, man, I think, like, if you think about Rachel Hollis, okay, her and I are similar in some things where, you know, we had some difficulties, major difficulties as children. Rachel, though, made good decisions. She said, you know, I wanted to be the best that I could be. I wanted my father proud of me. I wanted all of these things, but I got out as quick as I could, and I started a life of my own. And even through that, I still try to make good decisions, and maybe some of them weren't so great, but here's my reality. Whereas I took advantage of a terrible situation where I was the second oldest of 6 children. My mother was single. My dad was in prison for multiple things, including armed robbery and eventually murder. And I made my mom's life hell. And at the time, I didn't intentionally mean it to be that way, but she was difficult. I mean, she was very angry. I didn't want to be there, and I just did not want to stick it out. And so my brother Lou, my older brother, he stuck it out. He stayed in he got all of these things, you know, that I'm so sad that he had to go through that. And I'm sorry that my mom had to go through the seasons, the years of torment, and there's just so much. But anyway, from that, I made bad decisions. And, you know, some decisions I made because I was trying to do the right thing, but it wasn't the right thing because it was totally illegal, or it was just wrong, or, you know, and then I got out as fast as I could get out, and then I got involved with, anyway. So the fact of it is that now, fast forward all these years later, what have I gotten from that? What have I lost as a result of those decisions? What can I share with other people through my pain, my poor decisions, my growth, my reconnections, my relationships, all of those things? How can I help and influence someone to make better decisions moving forward, no matter where they are in their life? Because even now, I'm 46, I have made bad decisions right up until a couple of years ago. And, you know, the whole time never thought that I never said, oh my gosh, you know, I'm going to be a bad person, or I'm going to try to sneak and do this or that or whatever. I did things to self-preserve, or so I thought. Anyway, so that's lots of chapters. And so if I can go back 6 years, when I quit smoking, 7 years ago, gosh, I'll have to look at my history books. I don't remember. But anyway, I started a series called My Toxic Soul, and it was literally my smoking, all of the bad decisions that I've made and things like that. At the time, I never had any issues with drinking and everything else like that. Since that time, in writing the book called Kicking My Butts, which was my quitting smoking, which I need to get back up on the computer and get it sent out so people can download the ebook. I ran into a major issue with alcohol dependency a couple of years ago because I was just torturing myself. I was miserable, and so I turned to alcohol to satiate my sadness and my disappointment with my life rather than just dealing with things head on. And guess what? I was always drunk, I was always drunk. I was always having to deal with the fact that I'd have to get drunk again to make the pain go away. So it was short-lived, but it was horrible, and I brought my family through it, and it was miserable, and I left my family for it, and then I came back, and they let me come back. Okay, so that's 23 minutes of Michelle talk. Anyway, I will talk to you later. Over and out.